And here we are! Hey there, comic friends, I'm Travis, and it's time for another Comic Book Roundtable. And with me tonight, I have our usual cast of characters, and I will just quickly rattle them off. You all know who they are. We have Stacy S. Poole, we have Mike, Sergeant America, and we have Luke. Batman reviews. I'll get it. I'm never gonna get it. I'm gonna write it down.
One day,
or somebody's got to write on their forehead so I can read it off as I'm talking. And with us today, we have a new person. We have Christina. I'm sure a lot of you know her from comments. Poison Wolfish on Twitter, where she talks lots of comics with us and whatnot. So, absolutely happy to have you on.
Finally, for once.
Yep.
I feel like I've been promising for a while now, so.
Yep. Good to have you here. So, we're going to start right out by talking independent books today. Partially due to the fact is that I had a few this week. Isn't that disgusting?
Same here.
It's like they all came in 1 week. So that's pretty bad, or good, as the case may be. And I actually got them all read. What do we want to talk first? Anybody have something they're just itching? Let's talk. We want to talk Injection.
Let's start with Injection.
Let's start with Injection because I think everybody got Injection, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anybody want to start? Opinions? Hate it,
I just
love
want
it.
a sandwich.
I don't know. You just want a sandwich?
I just want a sandwich.
But what kind? That's what I wanted to know.
I don't know. I was confused at some parts, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. This is my first exposure to Ellis, so.
Luke, if you were only confused at some parts, I'd like you to read it to me, because I was confused at all parts. And it was good.
Yeah.
I believe CDC even mentioned it raised questions, but in all the right ways.
Yeah, I was like super confused almost all the way through, and I was like, I want to like this because she just wants a sandwich, and I love that. And I really like her as a character. I'm like, she reminds me, like, whenever I read comics, someone will be like, who could play her? And I'm like, this could be like Holly Hunter or Sigourney Weaver or somebody awesome. And then I just kept holding on to that, and I was like, just make it to the end, just make it to the end. And then I made it to the end, and that last panel, and I went, well, now I think I have to read the second issue, because, yeah, like, what? What just happened? But I do think my coworker and I were talking about it, and I think that, as with a lot of Image titles, this might just read better in trade. And that might be why it was so confusing at first, because it was just really, I don't know, for a first issue, I was just kind of like, I don't know.
Well, I think, like, the Bureau of Federal Physics, or, I think there's certain terminology that's used in there that we're going to figure out, and it makes us part of an inclusive club as they continue to explain things. But there was a lot of terminology that meant something to everybody in the book, but we were just getting caught up. And I think that's the toughest part about it.
Yeah. And they introduced a lot of characters for a first issue as well, and a lot of strange timelines were going on. I did really like the art though, like especially like the panels where it's like super vibrant, but I didn't understand, like, what is she walking in? I'm like, where's the Millennium Falcon? What is happening right now? But
yeah, well, any chance you can get a cameo appearance from Zed's buddy from Pulp Fiction, it's a good book. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I don't know if this kind of has like a Suicide Squad type feel to this. Is that anyone else's impression? It's kind of like the secret group that does. No.
Well, they're a government. I mean, I definitely get the impression that they're a government agency, clearly, and there's multiple government agencies operating within the book, and some of these people are part of one agency and not part of another one. I got the impression that at some point they all work together, or at least our lady who's requesting the sandwich all the time clearly is a showrunner. I mean, whatever organization she works for, clearly she's flirting with craziness all the time, and with the way she strolls into this, I don't know, other dimension or whatever it is that's inside this room that she wanders off into. Clearly, if that's her regular day job, she's gonna. I would assume you might be a little unhinged if that's what you do for a living. There's the guy who was walking the ancient road across England. Clearly, he's like some sort of cultural expert, and he was part of this group at one point. You have the tech woman that's at the very end that's going to be dealing with this other issue that's going on. Clearly there's a piece of timeline in there where they all look like they're younger, like they're all just meeting each other. And they're over a donut shop or a restaurant or something like that, or a laundromat is where they're something like that is where their office is. So they're kind of a semi-secret whatever at that point. I definitely agree with the fact there's a lot of big terminology that's thrown around. I appreciate the fact that the woman who keeps asking for the sandwich is like, don't talk to me in acronyms, tell me, which I think is a friendly way for the writer to tell us what this stuff is because in my employment, what I do, at least 50% of our jargon is acronyms, and if you don't know, you're lost. They actually, when you're first hired, you get a laundry list of acronyms to try and keep track of and stuff. It's just part of the business, and I'm sure that's how they operate too. So to keep it friendly for us as readers, throwing that out there, the whole don't. What do you think, Christina?
I felt like it read like every other Ellis book I'm reading at the moment. It kind of, it puts you into the story and slowly develops like over time, and I kind of like that because not that many books do that, and I enjoyed it, but like with a book like this, it's really what I'm looking for is the payoff at the end of the arc and how well that is. But other than that, it was a solid read, pretty much. I'm hooked. I'll keep on reading it.
Yeah, I really liked it. It did read like an Ellis book. I think right now Ellis is on fire again. He was really hot a long time ago in comics. Kind of took a break from comics for a few years, just quit doing comics altogether. Was writing some books and stuff, and it feels like he's come back and has a voice. I really like Trees, for instance, that he's writing right now. I think for me the big hook is there's clearly a situation going on that I'm curious about. Like I think you guys, we all are curious about this woman who keeps asking for the sandwich. We all got a kick out of that. So she's kind of the hook into the story. She's the enjoyable character at this point, I think. And hopefully we'll get bits and pieces of those other characters going along, which I believe we will. And I love the art, the colors and whatnot. So I'm excited for it because I have faith that I'm going to get 2 or 3 issues in. For me, I feel like there's going to be a payoff, so I'm not sweating the confusion and the questions, because it's all right to have a bunch of questions, I think, because for me that's what makes a book entertaining. If it was nothing going on, I wouldn't care. Sometimes the time jumps make me a bit nervous if those aren't clearly defined for us to know, did we back up in time, are we forward in time, where are we at? If we do too many remember back things, it sometimes can get scary. That's the one caveat for the book for me.
Yeah, you could tell this is one that's gonna kind of challenge you a little bit. It's gonna one you have to pay attention. You're gonna get lost, and that's, I think those are the good stories too. Don't insult the reader. Make it a little challenging, make it a little tough, and yeah, I think that has to go for it.
Did anybody talk about the narration at certain parts? I thought that was, and I'm not used to reading a lot of Ellis's work, so. Like, as they start to tell you about the sawing hospital, there's all that description of there's not much of Maria left. And that stuff I'm not used to. I thought that was a nice touch or flair for the book.
Yep.
I appreciated the way the dialogue was written, too. It's simple. It was very clean. it might be just a minuscule detail, but yeah, just the way the letters are done, it's simple and it's easy to read. I thought that was really fun.
It looks very much like how the letters are, and they're not like us. When I was reading, I was like, this is very similar style to how that book looks as well.
Sure. Now I want to look to see who's doing, because it's done by the same people. Good eye. Good eye. Phonographics, yeah. Phonographics does the lettering and design, and they do that for they're not like us too. So good eye.
Well, and as a image book, the other nice thing is it's complete art and comic book story all the way to the very last page, which Stacy kind of talked about, and the back cover is the cover for the next piece. None of it was wasted. All of it is for the story. And I think that's something with the big two that we just take for granted, that there's so much use you can get out of a book like this.
Yeah.
So, Clark Nato just said that injection is going to be planetary and transmit level big. We are going to be talking about it for years. I don't know that I would call that yet, but I will say that I feel like Ellis is back on that game again, just in general with his books. I think that, like I said, the break that Warren Ellis took on writing and now him coming back to books, I think that there's a lot of books that he's going to be doing I think are going to be really outstanding. Like I said, I think Trees is outstanding. I don't know that the books are going to be as noticeable as what Transmetropolitan and Planetary were, because when those two books came out, they came out and no other books were doing what those books were doing, and so they felt really out in front of everything. And these are good books, but there's lots of good books like this out there now, it feels like. So these don't feel leaps and bounds out in front of what those great books were. But still, exciting stuff. Anything else we want to say about Injection?
No.
No? What else do we want to talk about? You name it, I probably read it.
Keep it on the image train. Walking Dead.
Oh nope, there's one I didn't read. Walking Dead.
Because apparently nobody on Roundtable reads this except for me.
The TV show.
Yeah, the TV show, but I thoroughly enjoyed this issue. We're kind of now at another arc point in this. As you can see, Negan is on the cover, and he is free. Which there's an interesting conversation between him and Rick, and essentially they say that if they start going back to killing people, it just kind of starts this cycle all over again. And then at the end of the book, Maggie does something that perhaps is starting that cycle over again anyway. Because if you're not reading this, Maggie is the leader of, I think she's the leader of Hilltop. Rick is the leader of Alexandria, so they've kind of broken off into different communities now, and they, help each other out, and that's kind of how they're surviving. They're actually thriving right now. And it's just kind of good to have conflict back in this book, because for a while it's been kind of sunshine and rainbows, and Farmer Rick is back. So I'm excited to kind of see where Maggie is going to go from here. But yeah, no, thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's always a solid book for me, and it's always my pick of the week. So yeah, awesome.
They just can't have nice thing in that book.
You can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things, because the lady left Negan's cage open, and Negan got out, and then is just playing mind games with Rick. And that's another thing, is like I don't know if I trust Negan. I don't know what it's just. He's like, Kirkman does such a good job of making the reader kind of be in Rick's shoes in a way. It's like, do you trust him? Do you not trust him? What is he actually doing? Why didn't he just like go and murder everybody? Like, what is his mindset?
Yeah.
He very well could have gotten away. So it's just, and that's what I love about it, is it's just human nature, and like, what would you do in that situation? And it brings up a lot of very interesting questions, not only for the comic, but now for the TV show as well.
Well, but he's not in the TV show yet, right? So, as I say, you people who are just watching the TV show and not reading the books, you're missing out.
Yeah, seriously, you are, because it's so much darker than the show. I mean, it's a whole other, it's like, if you like the show, this just amps it up to like 100%. Like, it just makes everything so much better.
It just makes you hate human beings even that much more, is what it does.
Sometimes, yeah, it really does. And then you're like, what is going on? But
Wow.
it makes me love apocalyptic stuff even more.
Yeah.
I already do.
Right on. What else do you want to talk about?
Cal,
Let's talk Cal.
The free range of superheroes that we've unfortunately have confirmed that it is the issue away from being to the end.
Right.
And
Next issue is the final issue. Yep.
And it sure doesn't feel like it. I mean, that's the thing I think I worry the most is that, like, I guess we'll wrap it up, so I'm hoping it's a little bit larger than what we have had previously, because this is good. I mean, the story is still really hard and strong, so I guess I'm not figuring out why we're at the end.
Right, and to tell you the truth, I haven't seen anything. I don't know if the reason they're leaving is because they're tired of doing this, if they're going because the sales aren't strong enough to hold the book up any longer. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. I mean, we read the letters page in this, and of course it tells us that all of the guys that are on this book are planning something else, that they've got other work in the mix. I saw on Twitter somebody was asking him if he was going to take the book somewhere else to try and sell it someplace else, and he said no. You know, that Image is where the book belongs at. That's that. So sales must have something to do with it. Right. But I'm not sure. But you're right. Where this issue ends at, we got one issue to tie up a lot of stuff, right? So you know, we've got the president of Cal, the union, who's basically in bed with the mob to create this situation to inspire the city of Chicago to rehire them back. That is clearly going bad right now because the mob has called for the heads of some people that the president really likes. So that's going to cause all kinds of problems. Plus, you've got some people who are going to flip and talk about the scab that was killed, that supposedly was killed during a robbery when really he wasn't. He was executed by another superhero, and that's going to all come out, and all that's going to happen and somehow be ended in some fashion we're happy about in the next issue. I don't know. I really like the book. I'm sad it's gone. I love this 1960s setting, Chicago, the way it's painted, the art in it. I just like everything about it. It sets a really good mood for kind of for a union story that centers around superheroes, right?
Yeah, I mean, because it's told in a new style and take. Because that was the biggest thing when you first were on it. I didn't pick it up till like issue 4 or 5 because I felt I already knew the story, and with reading it, it had a life of its own. It had a flair and a taste that I didn't get. I was really thinking it was going to be a lot more flat than what it was, but it was great. I mean, I was really happy that it touched areas that I didn't think it would go. And all characters are just so deep, and it's just killing me to know that this is approaching the end.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see where some of the other non-Big Two superhero books, how they fare. I don't know if it's just the fact is that when people go to read an independent comic book, they don't want to read a superhero book, and so it's not getting traction. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Secret Identities that me and you were reading, Mike, and how that takes and whatnot.
And we saw with Sundowners.
Right. Well, Sundowners, that's partially the story was challenging for Sundowners. I loved it, but it was a challenging story. This one's much more straightforward. I think Secret Identities is much more straightforward than Sundowners was. So we'll see. It may be that we can't get an independent superhero book outside of Invincible just because it can't get traction, because when people think independent books, they don't think superheroes. Which to me is a bummer, because I like the superhero genre. I mean, that's why I read a lot of comic books that I read, because I like the superhero genre, and I would be curious to see somebody who isn't hamstrung by all the corporate BS that's involved with Marvel and DC. They can only do certain things with their characters, to create a superhero world, and then just be able to do whatever they want to do with those characters. Would be cool.
Well, I think Valiant is kind of doing that right now. I think because they have their whole superhero thing, and all the books kind of tie into each other, and all the characters are interwoven.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be the only place where that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I always wonder. I mean, someone can argue the point with me, I guess. I don't really feel like the Valiant books are superhero books. I mean, they are, but they're not. They never feel. I mean, I've sampled all of them. I've never really committed to reading them other than Shadow Man.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't feel superhero in the same sense that like a Marvel or a DC book is, and that there's this person that's putting on a costume and they're going out and they're, you know, not only are they fighting the earth-shattering whatever kind of thing, you know, but they're stopping bank robbers and they're doing that sort of thing too. And I don't ever see that in a Valiant book. They're fighting like earth-shattering things. You know, the Shadow Man is trying to keep the entire undead world from spilling into our world and murdering everybody. Or Man of War is fighting galactic-sized level space battles kind of stuff. Yeah. And what is it? Bloodshot. Bloodshot is always like doing this governmental conspiracy type stuff. Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing them do, you know, the standard superhero trope type thing. So I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, no, that is true, because maybe it's one of those things where when if you're an independent company and you're gonna do a superhero, they want to do it darker and grittier than DC or Marvel do. I think that's a good point.
Or I think the Archer and Armstrong is like the Deadpool. Deadpool doesn't take off his mask and live another life. He's Deadpool. And Archer, they fight their weird crimes and conspiracies, never put on a mask. They're Archer and Armstrong. Right. So they tackle each in a totally different way. So it is, none of them have the things that make it so familiar that it's easy for us to read, like you said. And like you said, some of them are just so far out that, you know, I haven't been able to get into some other Valiant because I think it's just too far out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, they have superpowers. They have powers, but they're not. For me, they're not using them in the same fashion that the traditional superhero is kind of a thing. So I don't know. Like I said, that may just be my splitting hairs too much or something. I don't know. Anybody read Chrononauts?
No, I have it, but I haven't read it yet.
What are you thinking of it in general? You've read 2 issues, right?
Yeah. It's everything I do not like in a book, but the bromance is cute, so I'm continuing to read it. And Sean Murphy's art is great, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, Sean Murphy's art is great, and I don't even like the bromance. I should have listened to the solicitations, because the solicitations were this was going to be a buddy action film, you know, action story of them romping through time. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I was too enamored with the art and didn't really think that through, because it's just not my cup of tea. These are just a little bit smarter versions of Bill and Ted. Really. That's really what it is, and I don't think it's funny. Whereas Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, at least they're stupid funny, and I don't know. So I'm not enjoying it. So it'll make an amusing movie, but that's what it feels like I'm reading too. It feels like I'm reading a very lightweight movie script with really good art. So I won't talk more about that particular issue, but not excited by it. What else? Anybody got anything else that I want?
Well, I was gonna Saga.
Saga?
Oh, about Chrononauts.
Saga. What do we want to say about Saga?
But I like every issue, but I really love the ending. The very last page really hooked me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing much to say about it other than that.
Yeah. Yeah, we lose another cast member, basically. There's some good stuff in here. There's some good poignant lines in this one. This is one of those issues that had some great stuff in it. The opening page is amusing in this one. One of the things that seems to be a standard with Saga is, of course, every first page is always something that's supposed to be shocking in some way. You know, lots of times it's some sexual thing or whatever. You know, in this one, it's a character plainly describing to this very small child what an abortion is. So, so shocking in its own way, I guess, if that's, you know, kind of a thing. But yeah, just good stuff. I mean, I don't know if there was lots of super hot action in this one, but just lots and lots of great lines and lots of poignant things get leveled on characters in this issue, which I think is great. That's what makes the book. It's just solid.
I have a question. Did Staples and Brian K. Vaughan ever made clear how many issues Saga is going to be?
No.
Because I feel like I read somewhere it was going to be 30 issues, and I don't think so, but...
We're on 28. There's no way it can be 30. No, I don't think so. I don't remember them ever saying. I think they went, okay, we know what our first arc is going to be, and we know what we want to do long term
Like,
if we make it past that first arc. But I don't remember them ever saying we're going to go this many issues and be done. Because there's no way they could end this in 2 issues.
Oh, I know. I was
there would be riots in the street. People would show up at Image Comics there in California, and they would. Was it Anaheim? Is that where it's at? San Francisco. San Francisco.
Burbank, I believe, maybe.
No, it's not Burbank.
It's like I think it's like San Francisco or something. Yeah. They'd be there. They'd be ripping the walls down.
It's
Berkeley. That's right. They'd be ripping the walls down. There's no way they're just gonna. Oh, 2 issues. We're done.
Okay.
I mean, I guess unless, I don't know, Fiona suddenly got tired of doing the comic or something, I guess, but I don't know. No, I'd never heard 30. That scares me now. Now that you've said that, I'm going to be up all night doing internet searches, trying to find out if it's going to end. Oh.
I think you've mentioned on previous shows, there's other comics that always say, you know, well, we can do it in 30, but if there's more desire, this is the 60 arc.
Right. They've got story to tell, and wherever it takes them to, they know how it's going to end, and they're just going to ride it, and whatever feels right, that's what they're going to go with. Unless, of course, their sales start to sag, then they know how to tighten it up, to shrink it down, and to still give an ending. That's another beautiful thing about most of these independent books is they're allowed to end it in some fashion. It isn't just like one day they go, oh, we're done, you know, which is what the big 2 do. The big 2 go, sales suck here. We're done. We're not even going to play around this anymore, and it just, you know, comes to an end. You know, I've collected things that were supposed to be, you know, maxi series. They're supposed to be 12 issues long, and they'll not be good, and suddenly they're 8 issues. You know, so I don't know. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody read Copperhead?
Oh.
I haven't, but yet to read it.
Oh, it's a good issue. It's a really, really good issue. Everybody should be reading Copperhead. Go pick up the first trade. Get on board and read Copperhead. It's date night. Which is pretty awesome because for the sheriff, it's never an easy thing. So date night with the school teacher is interesting, and I think next issue is going to be an all Boo issue, which is Boo is the deputy who thought he was going to be sheriff, but now is working under her, and it's not really happy about that. But I think it's going to be an all Boo issue, which will be awesome. He's a great character. But if you like Western, if you like the kind of a Western style of a book, you should be reading this. It's great. It's set in space, but it hits every Western trope in just the right way to make it really fun. And we're starting to learn more about her ex-husband, who is in prison. He's in like maximum security, so clearly her husband is a really bad dude. So good stuff.
Well, talking about more history, Rebels.
Oh yeah. Issue number 2 of Rebels.
Yeah, I was a C- student all through school when it came to history.
Uh-oh, we lost you, Mike.
This would have made me an A. Sorry, this would have made me an A student because I love how.
You keep breaking up.
Oh.
Is it just me that Mike's breaking up on, or is it everybody?
Everyone.
Okay.
All right. I'll try and fix something if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, Rebels. I don't know that it's clearly at the very beginning. You open up the front page. It talks about the fact that there are historical dates and places in here that are factual, but if things don't line up exactly right, the writer is going to take privilege and put people in places that maybe they never really were, kind of thing. But it's still loosely based in a historical setting of pre-Revolutionary War, or about the time that it's getting started up. 1774, 75, in that era. And it's a great story. I think that if you had read Brian Woods' Northland and you liked it not because it just had to do with Vikings, but you just liked the way the stories were told, get on this book, because it's basically going to be the same thing. You're going to get a story that's set in a historical setting, but somehow it seems relevant to what goes on in people's daily lives anyway, kind of a thing. I think that's what's going to be captured in the book, and I really like it. The art inside of it is brilliant. I think it's really well done. You get some factual stuff in there. This first whole arc is about these characters who are in Vermont, and they have been slowly dogging the British, trying to get them out of Vermont because the British are taxing the hell out of them. They're not really, the characters that this deals with aren't really interested in like being part of maybe the whole Revolutionary War. That's not really their thing. They just want to make life more simple for them and their little plot of land. And of course, it's becoming more complicated than that as the Revolutionary War starts to cook up and take on a larger picture around them. But still, yeah, this makes history cool, that's for sure. I didn't have problems in history class. I loved history class, so for me, as far as that goes, it was a big deal. But no, it's a great comic. The art, like I said, the art in it is really good. The coloring in it is great. It just, I don't know. I'm excited. It's a book I'm excited to keep reading. I don't know that it's riveting, because to some degree it is the Revolutionary War era, so it's not like you don't know what's going to go on, but you're reading about, it's a much more personal level kind of a story, so it's intriguing for that.
It's funny you guys bring this up. I'm actually taking a Revolutionary War class now.
Oh, nice.
And this would just be my cup of tea. This is only issue 2, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I might have to go check that out.
Well, and for me also, it was a time and era that I don't think is discussed a lot of.
Mm.
No, all they do is talk about the shot heard around the world, and then we went across the Hudson, and of course we all starved in Valley Forge, and then somewhere along the way we beat the British. Yay! Right? That's the Revolutionary War in a nutshell.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. Those few pictures they show all the time, and that's it. Yeah.
Has that been going regularly? Is it monthly, regular? Okay.
Yeah.
It's only 2 issues. Okay.
Two issues in. Yep. Yep. With plans for it to be a long kind of a thing.
It's long term. Okay.
Yeah. The back matter in this one was interesting. If you're familiar with the writer Brian Wood, most people consider him well to the left of the political spectrum here in the United States. Verging on socialist in a lot of ways and that sort of stuff. I mean, he's written, DMZ, which clearly was political commentary on, modern American politics and world politics and the way we wage war and a lot of stuff like that. So I know a lot of people were potentially skeptical of him writing, where that book felt relatively anti-American in some sense. A lot of people were skeptical of this book, him writing it, because of course it has to do with our history. Some people were like, oh, they're gonna, he's gonna tear down our foundation, and that's clearly not the case. He talks about it in that back matter, I think, in a pretty decent way, talking about the fact that he kind of wants to reclaim the word patriot. Patriot is kind of taken on. He feels like it's taken on to some degree more of a right of center kind of a aspect. The whole. Either you're with America or you're against America kind of thing, and kind of wants to tell the stories of the roots of America and what it was founded on. We don't get it all right, but mostly we've gotten it right, and clearly have to keep working on stuff. So appreciate it for that too, I guess. Any other books we want to talk about?
Lady Killer?
Lady Killer. As we throw a body off the Space Needle there in Seattle. Nice. What do we think?
I loved it, and it's one of those things where it's bittersweet because I just thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this issue, but I'm so sad that it's over for a while. But I'm glad that they ended it the way that they did because it just made me so freaking excited. I was like, and every single issue in this run has consistently surprised me. And every time I thought I knew where they were going with it, they did a total 180. Like with the mother-in-law. Like I was like, oh, it's just gonna be the typical like mother-in-law, finds out what her daughter-in-law is doing, and it's an awkward thing. And it was totally opposite that, and it was just super. I just thoroughly enjoyed this all the way through.
Well, yeah, that whole thing with the mother-in-law, right? So it just added a whole other level to her as she spots this old guy, and this old guy is part of some old regime from back in the motherland, basically, right?
Yeah.
And so now you're thinking, wow, she isn't just some crotchety old woman that's the mother-in-law and a pain in the ass. She clearly has her own history, right? Yeah. That we know nothing about, other than we've just hinted at the fact that she potentially has this whole other history.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It's so awesome.
Who knows if we'll get to find out about it, right?
Yeah. And I thoroughly just enjoy the fact that the husband throughout this entire thing has had no idea. Like, he's so dumb.
Yeah. He's the Disney husband, right? I mean, he's just kind of...
Yeah. Very much so. And so I wonder if now the mother-in-law and Disney are going to go into business together because, and that was one of my big things, was she cannot leave this business. She's really good at it, and it's been a part of her life for so long before her husband and kids came along. So I was like, how's this gonna end up working out? And then they did it so brilliantly in the sense of, hey, maybe she'll have her own business. And then there's this whole thing of the guy of the business she was working for. There's so much potential. And I think, like I said, at the very beginning of this, if it becomes like a Sin City type thing where it's just a bunch of different books, I would be thoroughly happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like fantastic. Like, we cannot keep these books on the shelf. Like, they're so good. And I think the first printing of the first issue is going for like ridiculous amounts on eBay. So
it is.
It's been. I think this is one of Dark Horse's biggest successes in the last few years.
Yeah. What you think, Christina?
I didn't love it. I don't know. To me, the very end with mother-in-law was interesting, but the whole thing overall was like underwhelming for me. I don't know. It might be with the other books that I've read. But it was okay. I enjoyed it. It's been a great series. Hopefully there's more. I'll totally keep reading it. Pretty good read.
I really love the art. I love the art in it so much. And you kind of get the impression from the letters page that there'll be more to come. They're not saying this is for sure what's going to happen. There'll be more to come, and that it won't have Jamie Rich on it because clearly he's working for Vertigo now. So he doesn't probably have time, or it's not in his interest to be writing something for another company. But he also says in there that he feels like that Julie Jones could pretty much handle it herself. I have to say, one of my biggest regrets of Emerald City Comic Con just this last March is that I spent my money before I got to Jolene's table, so I couldn't pick up a piece of art from her. Because I just think that I think with the way this book sold and whatnot, the only thing that's going to keep her from doing whatever it is that she wants to do is her. If it's whatever art job she wants, I think that she's going to get. I just can't imagine that there won't be people knocking on her door to go, dude, we want you to do art for us. So I'm excited to see whatever's next from her too, just because I just think the art was amazing and the style of it, the storytelling. But so much of this is her, really. To me, it just felt like it left the door way open for a lot more. So I hope that's really what it means. Despite the fact that when I talked to her there, in Seattle, people kept coming up to her saying, "Oh, I wish this was an ongoing," and she basically said, "Are you crazy? That's way too much work." But I can see her doing this in little, 5-issue shots like this. And Dark Horse likes to put out books that way. I mean, that's how they put out a lot of their books, are in little chunks, bang, bang, bang. So I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping she gets a break and then she comes back and does more. Because it feels like that there were a lot of things that were interesting that they could explore a lot more of and tell some pretty dynamic stories with the setting that they have it in. So, yeah. Yes. Any others?
That's all I have for independent.
I mean, I didn't
any
read
other
it.
independent books, Rick?
I didn't read it, but how did you like Odyssey?
Oh, I love Odyssey. Most of what I've read, I've had no problem with really tracking what's going on. This one, I felt like I was starting to have problems keeping my head above water. This one got a little heady for me. And I thought I was fine, and then I made the mistake of reading the back matter in this, and then I got confused. So Fraction kind of confused me on more, I think, about what's coming next, as opposed to what was here. But I really love it. I love it for the art. I just kind of read it and absorb it. I have a working understanding of the Odyssey, and so I'm just going with that and enjoying the words that are there. The fact that Fraction can somehow manage to somewhat write contemporary, but write in meter, blows my mind. That I'm reading a comic book that's been written in meter, as an English English major, that just floors me. I think I found my next cosplay Halloween costume. I'm really thinking I need to go as Hera, right? Because
I would have to go as Zeus.
Because Hera, Hera has a nice beard. She has a nice beard, so I can go as Hera. But the art in it is absolutely. Let's see if I can find a page that doesn't have quite so much nudity in it this time. There was plenty of that in this one. But the art is just, I don't know, it's just amazing. It's amazing stuff. This just, blasting through space, and it's just so incredibly dynamic and head trippy, and the only thing that could make the comic cooler is if they could do it in ink that lit up with black light, so then we could read it under black light. Just to give it the full acid trip effect. But it is just...
Yes, totally.
It is just absolutely... It's absolutely cool. And this issue was cool. It's got some really ooh moments in it. One of the things that threw me off is there's a guy in this issue. An actual male. And there are no males in the book. I mean, Zeus eliminates all in the entire male species, but there's a guy in this. He's got 4 arms. But so now I'm gonna have to do some internet searching because I can't remember who that character is, and they've thrown me off on the whole what that's about. So Hera is Harry. Yes, Hera is Harry from the comments. Oh, thank you. That's funny. But yeah, but I loved it. The art alone sells that book as far as I'm concerned.
The art alone, yeah, it does.
But it's not. I mean, up front, it's not an easily consumable book beyond just looking at pretty pictures. To read it and know what's going on as far as that goes, it's tough.
It's
awesome
a challenge,
story,
but it's worth it.
Yeah, awesome story. Issue 19 of East of West. You haven't read it yet either, right? I won't talk a lot about it other than it's incredible. It's all Babylon and all Balloon. The boy needs to learn how to hunt, and of course the Balloon, the little computer he's hooked up to, is sinister as hell, and so the process that happens is just, by the end of it, you're just going, oh my god, this is so diabolical. There's a cute little piggy in it. I'm not sure how long the cute little piggy's gonna last, but there's a cute little piggy in it. But yeah, It's cool.
Is the arc for East of West? Or is there one more?
I'm trying to think. The way this ended, it could be the end of an arc. If it is, boy, it leaves on a. See, there's the cute little piggy. I won't show you the bloody pages that are all around it, but there's the cute little piggy. See. Anyway, it's. I don't know if it's the end of the arc or not. Issue 19. I don't know if it is.
For me, where all the back matter is kind of like hazy, and I feel like I should reread the whole series, but
yeah, I don't know. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about?
I didn't read it, but I heard good things about it. Did you get Black Science?
Yes, it did. Which is the end of an arc.
The end.
It was cool. I'm really enjoying this book. It feels like it's ratcheted down from where the book originally first was. Like the first 8 or 9 issues were just, absolutely, going 100 miles an hour. It's slowed down from that some there. This issue kind of readdresses what the original purpose of what they were setting out to do gets readdressed in this, because they've kind of just been, because they got this out of control dimension hopping machine, they've just been kind of letting it take control of their lives. Well, they've got the equipment to fix it now, and the main character, Grant, gets basically scolded by one of his helpers, saying, look, this is, us just trying to make the world better for us isn't what we were about. We were supposed to be about making every world better that we went into to fix them and make them better and more positive kind of place. And so that's maybe what they're setting out to do. This ends arc and then sets up the next storyline. We're going to get into some more arcs that have to do particularly with particular characters and get a little deeper into them and where do they go now? Now that they're going to have control of their machine again, what are they going to do? Because it kind of occurs to them that the machine isn't just randomly hopping around. It's going to places that are plagued by war. It's going to places that are plagued by disease. It's going to it's going to all these horrible places. It doesn't go any place good. Nowhere does it land as a positive thing yet. And is it that way because they've already contaminated all these dimensions and all these timelines? Or what? They don't know. So now they need to get the machine fixed and then backtrack backwards and try and put everything back together again that they've kind of seriously screwed up along the way. I still like it. It's rambunctious, kind of crazy sci-fi, dimension hopping, weird science kind of stuff. Yeah, pretty cool.
I always heard good things about him. I heard every once in a while I might kind of hit a lull, but then it always comes back.
Right. Like I said, it kind of changed gears to some degree after about issue 9. We settled into what's going on, I think, and so it made it feel like it maybe was less than. I don't really think it is. I just think that it was so skyrocketing, up, and then it's like, okay, now we know this is what we're doing, and it kind of leveled out, but leveled out on a high. I don't think it's fallen really. So, but yeah, it's been pretty cool. Abe Sapien, this is issue 23. It was kind of it's a one-shot, because clearly Hellboy is dead in the current timeline, or somewhat dead, he's in hell. But this was kind of a telling of an old story, and it was relatively meaningless. It didn't have a lot of point to it. Most of the time, even when it has these kind of remembering back, there's something about it that's poignant, and nothing about this issue felt poignant. So that was kind of disappointing as far as that goes. Looking forward to the next issue where it gets back into the regular storyline with Abe. So, and a guest artist on this issue, which was it was okay, nothing special. VPRB continues to be amazing. It's now, love that cover. That's a guy's head inside of a crushed space helmet. And he's he's in multi-dimensional space, which means he's basically out in a weird void of who knows what's going on. He's now discovered that basically the people that sent him out there really had no intention of him coming back. They pretty much screwed him. They put him in a suit that can't survive space more than 5 minutes, and by the end of this issue, we're at 4 minutes and like 55 seconds. So he's spending a lot of time dropping the F-bomb at the people who very much put him there. Our scientists that are back on Earth are scrambling to try and save him and save the rest of the world. The corporate scientists aren't really trying to save the world, they're just trying to save themselves. There's some really creepy parts in here because Earth is coming apart. There's literally these physics tornadoes that are swirling around, and inside these physics tornadoes, physics just go all to hell. There's no gravity, nothing works right, your molecules come apart. So of course it's basically like the end of the world's coming. And so people are like in refugee camps trying to survive and whatnot. They're dragging school teachers out and hanging them from the streetlights because clearly they're the devil. They lied to our children. So people have gone so far off the deep end because it's an apocalypse that they're hanging. I mean, we've seen a few bodies along the way hanging from these street lamps. You don't know what it's about, and in this issue you finally see it. That they're literally, it's a school teacher, like a third grade school teacher. I'm like, I just teach your kids. Like, yes, nothing but lies, and they literally lynch him up. And so you're walking down Main Street and hanging from all the street lamps are all your school teachers. So I guess if you hate your school teachers, for me it's frightening. I love science, and so the idea of all these scientists being persecuted just freaks me out. So it was like, ooh. So, but I'm still really liking the book. It's very cool and crazy as far as that stuff goes. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, did anybody read Mythic?
No, I almost wanted to get it strictly because it's just $1.99. I wanted to support that, but no.
I have it, but I've yet to read it.
Okay. I picked it up. I didn't realize the price point was as great as it is. Yeah, I mean, $1.99. That's kind of hard to not try out a full-length comic for that kind of price, in my opinion. The art in it is pretty cool. I picked it up because Phil Hester's writing it. I just like Phil Hester. Phil Hester's just a great guy from everything I've experienced. Talking with him on Twitter and talking with him in person in a few cons. As a side note, he's the reason I collect. One of the biggest reasons I collect original art pages and why I collect the way I do. He is a huge collector of pages and whatnot, so I talk with him a lot about that. So that's where, full disclosure, that's the reason why I picked up the book. I'm amused by the book because basically what the book is, the premise is science is a lie. After the last book I just talked about. Science is a lie. Really everything is mythologically based. Earthquakes are because there's a bunch of lizards, giant lizards underneath the crust, and they're wrestling around, and when they get too rambunctious, we have earthquakes. That's fact. But so it's got lots of crazy stuff like that in it. I mean, really, there is no such thing as science and technology. That's just a ruse that they tell people to keep all of us common people calm because we wouldn't be able to accept the fact that it's really fairies that transport our cell phone conversations back and forth to each other and all that kind of stuff. The way the story is told is okay. The very beginning of this, it's kind of like it shows how one of the characters gets introduced to the rest of the group, and then suddenly we're with that group off in some like Yosemite or something like that, and there's a massive drought, and they're trying to fix it. There's scientists there trying to discover why there's this drought, and this group that goes and fixes magic problems is there, and they pretty much throw it in everybody's face that really you guys are just idiots. Science is all BS, and they explain all this crazy stuff about how like the earthquake thing and all that kind of stuff, and they're there to fix it. And the reason that it's not raining is because this mountain elemental, earth elemental, is having a fight with some like air elemental, thunder. They're married or something like that technically, but they aren't getting busy, and if they're not getting busy, there is no rain. So they come to the conclusion that to make it rain, they need to get the thunder thing interested in the mountain again. So to do that, they decide that one of the characters is going to hit on the mountain. Hey, you're a mighty fine-looking mountain. Yes.
Oh, this is all the things you were showing on Twitter today?
Yeah. To make the thunder creature jealous, so of course they'll get busy and make it rain. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's funny. It's funny. But yeah, clearly not something to take too serious. But yeah, it's funny. It's got some great art, and it's got some surprise characters. One of the characters is like a prophet. She sees the future. That's this character here. She sees the future, and yeah, you got this group of people, and one of the characters is clearly this guy right here who seems like to be like the boss. He's clearly not just a human. He's something more than that. Yeah, but it's got some crazy monsters in it. So I'm gonna hang on for a few issues. Yeah, when magic gets messy, we clean it up. I don't know I don't think it's gonna stay at this price point. Certainly, if it stays at this price point, I'm gonna pick it up for a long time. It's good enough for that price point, definitely. It was a fun read. I'm not 100% sold on it right now, but I'm gonna read it for probably at least the first arc, unless it just suddenly gets terrible. Because this first issue wasn't terrible; it was amusing. The beginning story showing us how one guy gets in the group and then suddenly the group's someplace else felt a little disjarred. It wasn't a smooth transition, but other than that, that's maybe my biggest criticism. But it was fun. It was fun for number one. Number ones that I thought was kind of a waste of my money. This is a 5 Ghost. This is a special. Does anybody else read 5 Ghost?
I do.
In trade.
Okay.
I read it in singles.
Right. So this has really basically nothing to do. Well, it does in the sense that it kind of tells stories about the Dreamstone, which is what the main character's got lodged in his chest, for people who don't know. So this is just it's got 2 stories in it, 2 or 3 stories in it. The first story is all done by this Valder guy, the guy that does the cover. And that was boring as all heck. And it's most of the book, to be quite honest. And then the back one is has the writer. Barbara does the writing on it with a guest penciler, an artist. And that story was kind of also, I don't know. I love this book. I love the main book itself, but this was kind of like, other than to have it because it's part of the series. If I could have gone to a shop and picked it up and read part of it, no, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. So, yeah, bummer for me. You let me know, Christina, if you liked it when you get around to reading it.
Okay. Totally, I'll let you know.
Read the second issue of Run, Love, Kill. Issue number 2. I really love the art a lot, but I don't know in this second issue that we get a lot more story. We get kind of a situation that tells us where our main character used to be, and potentially why the people are hunting her, because she was part of a government organization and they want her back or want her gone, one of the two. And she made some mistakes back then. But exactly why they force her to run or not, I'm not 100% sure on. And other than that, not a lot happens in the story. But it looks really, really, really cool. 8 issues. I'll keep getting it. Nothing about this issue turned me off, but I don't know that it moved a lot of story forward. But like I said, it looked really cool. Other than these covers, I still don't like these white covers that are, I don't know how you describe that.
Looks very
Grayscale.
Yeah.
Yeah, grayscale. It looks like a video game cover.
Yeah, Final Fantasy almost looks like it a little bit.
Yeah, and that doesn't excite me.
Nah,
So, but the art inside's cool. I read this right before I came on. Strange Sports Stories. This one has the CM Punk story in it. I know people were mad because they got issue number 1 and 2 and it didn't have the CM Punk story in it because that's what people were interested in it. not that I want him to come and punch me in the face or anything, but I don't understand why he has a job writing comics any more than you or me or anyone else who's listening to this podcast or YouTube channel. Why you guys aren't writing comics too? Because I don't think he's produced anything that's exceptional in any way that is anything anybody else couldn't do. His story in here, I thought was quite boring actually. The first story is kind of cute. The first story in this is it's a race. It's a swimming race between mermaids and sharks. And the opening page is awesome because here's this girl swimming and a shark's gonna eat her. So she punches the shark in the side of the face, right?
Where have we seen that before?
Right, and she's a mermaid. And it's a race. It's actually a race between the sharks. It's a relay race between the sharks and the mermaids. And what's awesome is the sharks have a victory song that they sing because the sharks always win. And so they're singing this, basically, doesn't it suck to be a mermaid? We're sharks, we're awesome song that they sing. And they get to the end and they get beat by the mermaids because the mermaids wore shark suits. And they looked like sharks, and so the sharks ignored them, and they kept looking behind them for the mermaids, and the mermaids beat them, and then humans start attacking them, and they're attacking the sharks, and the mermaids swim up and save the sharks, and when the mermaids come out of the water, they are not pretty. They are very, very scary. They look scarier than the sharks do. But that was cute. There's actually a sumo wrestler story in here that was kind of okay also, but the last two stories, the CM Punk story, was about baseball, which of course bores me first and foremost, and then it was just whatever. It was boring. This anthology, this is issue 3 of 4, is pretty much been a waste of money for me personally. Maybe it's because I'm not a huge sports fan. I don't know, but
we'll see how he does on his Drax run because he's going to be writing the Marvel Drax.
Yeah, is he gonna write like the movie character?
I would kind of assume that that's what they're doing with the Groot one and the and the Drax one as well. I don't know why they wouldn't do that because I think the only reason why they're doing it is because of the movie.
Right.
Kind of like Ant-Man. So it could work.
Well, because all the other characters, right, have gotten their own books for a while too, right? Because you had the Rocket Raccoon one, you got Groot one coming.
I'm waiting for a Yondu one. I love Yondu. Yondu is, out of all the Guardians, Yondu is my favorite.
Yeah. Well, I might get to him at some point.
So,
yeah.
But I'll pick up the Drax one and see because I liked his Thor story that he did in the Thor annual. So maybe it's just writing a sport that's not wrestling isn't his thing.
Yeah. I guess if I want to write for the big companies, I need to put on about 150 pounds and become a wrestler first, and then I can write comics. How that works. Briefly, Southern Cross #3. I don't know. I mean, chances are when I have to order next month, I won't order this book. It's just not quite doing it for me. There's a few interesting aspects, but it feels very slow. There's things about it that bug me. Like it bothers me the fact that this lady, who's just another passenger on this spaceship, which is basically the equivalent of like a cruise liner, right? She can just go wherever she wants to. So she just wanders off into the engine room whenever she wants to. She wanders off into the captain's place whenever she wants to. And it just seems odd to me that you would just let some random person walk into your engine room and do whatever the hell they want to do. I don't know. It's stuff like that about it that just... And if I'm noticing those kinds of things, that clearly the rest of the story isn't grabbing me enough for me to not care about that kind of stuff, which seems to be a problem. So, yeah, I don't know. I want to like it, but I'm just not that entertained. And I'll leave the rest of my books. I'll talk about them another time. Otherwise, it's just me talking because I'm the one that read all those books. Looks like we lost Christina. Hopefully she'll be back. Let's move on to DC.
DC.
I can drink my soda while you guys talk.
Yeah, this is where me and Mike are that crazy story that no one really believes and will say it really did happen and whatnot.
It's the Luke and Mike show now.
There you go. There you go.
If I can stick around, yeah.
Can I go the main book first?
Go.
Okay. Did I freeze up?
Nope, you're fine.
Well,
Okay. All right. the Convergence book, it's good. I know we had a first 3 issues, but really the issue 4, 5, and this issue, it's really finally it's going good. The first thing that you're going to see as soon as you open the page is something I've been waiting for. It's when's the New 52 people going to show up. First page, New 52 guys actually show up. They're actually in space, and Martian Manhunter is basically finding out what's going on with this Telos character and what's happening. So the New 52, they're finally getting introduced in the story, and what's happening, there's this planet that's kind of stuck halfway into their reality, and the other half is some other world. So, and we end up finding out that that planet is Telos. So Telos, the planet Telos, is getting ready to merge with the New 52. So the things are finally start to come together here. You get a little bit more detail on what Deimos is really trying to do with all these heroes. What's her name? Yolanda, I think, asked, "Why do you want to rule these guys?" And he just straight up says, "I don't want to rule them. They're basically, I can't control them. I want them dead." So it's basically, Deimos, he's trying to play that whole card where, hey, you swear your allegiance to me, I'll protect you. You really get the gist of what he's trying to do. You get a little bit more development into relationship with Dick Grayson and Telos. Telos, I still can't put my finger on. Is he good, bad, neutral? Because Deimos, that character threw me in for a loop. But there's something to do that Brainiac mentioned a couple issues ago when Deimos was getting ready to say to Telos what his real name is, and Brainiac says, "Hey, that knowledge is forbidden," and whatnot. And that's kind of the angle Dick Grayson kind of gets the Telos to go, get Telos to help them fight Deimos, is to find out what his name is and try to find his family, because as he just realized the issue before that his family's alive. First off, he didn't know he had a family, obviously, because his memory was erased. But that's cool. But the funniest parts in here, though, is when you get a lot of people from same characters. You have Superman, and then in this issue, the pre-Flashpoint Superman runs into the Earth 2 Superman. They're just kind of looking at each other like, "What are you doing?" And then pre-Flashpoint Flash meets Earth 2 Flash, and you see a lot of that, and it's just what would really happen if your doppelganger or whatever kind of was right in front of you. What would you say? And I thought that was pretty cool. But basically, too, the real sell point of the issue is at the very end, as what everyone I would think who was kind of going into Convergence thought the main plot was, is that you see all the bad guys, all the villains from all the multiverses are getting ready to clash between all the heroes of all the multiverses and come together. So it's finally, it took us 6 issues, 6 of 8, to really kind of get to the point where I thought everyone thought this event was really going to be. It's now, I think, starting to come together. So not bad. The art is really good. Storytelling, overall, not bad. I think that's just the consistency from the beginning on this series. Just the art just really carries it more than anything. I was a little frustrated in the beginning point, but it's definitely cooking up, and this issue is good. So
you figure what next issue is going to be a big knockdown drag out, and then the last issue will set the course for what's to come.
I think so. Then the big thing with the New 52, how's this all gonna work out? But yeah, I think you're dead on what I think's gonna happen. There's only 2 more issues, so they gotta kind of cram this thing in. So it's not bad. So
cool.
Convergence. Yeah, really glad the New 52 guys finally showed up, even though it's only for about 4 pages. But
yeah. So. Nice. So Mike, talk Suicide Squad to us.
Hopefully, if I stay solid, this one is bad guy fights bad guy fights, bad group fights good group. Bad guys win, and at the end there's supposed to be a touching moment. this was alright if you are a Suicide Squad fan. If you're not, it is a waste of the money. And at the very end, there is the Colin Bunn Aquaman Divergence. They give you a taste of that.
Right, 8-page thing.
Yeah, and I would not buy it from the pages that I read.
It's Aquaman. Come on.
Well, and it's not even. I like the Aquaman trade. It was just Aquaman under, the army of Atlantis. I guess I feel I've read that story a dozen times over, and maybe Bunn can do something different with it. And I really wasn't overly excited by the art. So, but yeah, it was. Blood comic book. So
Yeah.
I read it. I said that was nice, and I was done.
Kind of one we could miss then. Okay.
Yes.
So what did you get, Luke?
Okay, I promise I'll kind of breeze through these pretty quick. I got three tie-ins. The first one will kind of go from worst to best, I think. The first one, Shadow of the Bat. The first issue, I really got my interest. I liked the art, and that whole concept of Batman infiltrating the whale gang to try to find out where the convoy to get the supplies was, whatnot. And then remember we had those two issues, or the two characters at the very end. And last time we talked about this, we couldn't remember, who was it, Jester and Pilgrim. We're like, who the heck are these people?
Right.
Yeah, but we had to find out that's an organization called Wetworks. That's
Okay.
what I found. Yeah, that's exactly. But yeah, this issue basically what happens. The whole the whale gang, forget them. They don't even show up here. Basically, what it is there's Wetworks. It's actually there's 3 more people I think in the gang going up against Azrael and Batman here. And basically, all it is Azrael and Batman go to a Navy carrier. A carrier has like all those jets and whatnot. Just happens to be in the city. Okay. And they get in the bottom of it, and they kind of lure these Wetworks folks into trying to attack Batman and Azrael, and they thwart the attack. But basically at the end though, Batman kind of convinces them to not fight us. Let's join together and let's go fight Telos. And they all do agree to it. And the twist at the end is Azrael decides that he's not going to go. He's going to stay here and be the guardian of this universe, be the Batman of this place. So, if we all know that the relationship for those who follow, especially in Sword of Azrael, maybe even in No Man's Land, the relationship between Azrael and Batman never really wasn't all that good. And so you get kind of a little bit of closure on how the relationship can go under really good conditions. So, but overall, that was really it. There really wasn't much to it. Larry Hama, not my favorite writer, and so far in the books that I have read by him, so far I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this was, I think, the ugly.
Oh.
Like I said, the first one, I wouldn't even consider it bad. That was pretty decent. But this one, it's just, blah. The Batman in me forced me to buy this. So.
And is that a $4.99 book?
It's $3.99.
All right.
Definitely not worth $3.99. The good thing about all these times, for the most part, I know you saw with the question, they're kind of dense. You're not like getting ripped off as far as like page count or whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard. What's that?
But still,
yeah.
Yeah, it sucks when you're a Batman fan and you pick it up and it just leaves you hating it.
Yeah, I mean it's just there's nothing really happened. It's just
yeah.
For how these are only 2-issue story arcs, so you gotta do something to make it kind of feel impactful. Even though I know they're just tie-ins and it is what it is, but it's just I just fell at the end just like. So, this one, Catwoman, very interesting. Catwoman, with going up against Kingdom Come Batman. The art in this was superb. Not really all that much of a fan of the old pink Catwoman style Selena, but as far as the character and her tropes, it's so spot on here. But basically, yeah, it's Kingdom Come Batman going up against Catwoman in the first maybe third of the book. It's just them trying to figure out who are you, because Kingdom Come Batman's looking at Selena like, if you're not the one I know. The one I know, she's a true villain, evil person. Then Selena's looking at Batman like, you're old. Kingdom Come, like, she mentioned like gray hair. You're not my Bruce. And they're just kind of like, what do we do? And the gang, the intra gang that Selena was messing with in issue 1 comes up on top of the roof where they're at. At this point, they realize that if Batman doesn't die, if Selena won't do it, they have to kill Batman, because if he doesn't, they're gonna die. And the whole, let's say, no, I'm gonna say a third of the book, but it's just Selena and Batman fighting this intra gang, because obviously they don't want to have to kill anybody. And at the very end, the intra gang turns out the leader gets a suit from Apocalypse, came out of nowhere. It's nothing like an elaborate suit. It's just has some sort of defense mechanism. I don't know if you can see it. There has like a little green little hub there in the back, and they are able to take down intra gang. And what happens is the gang in the city, the suicide slum that Selena's protecting, they come up and they realize, hey, if Selena don't kill Batman, we're dead. And Selena and Batman convince them, hey, don't do anything. Let's all come together. Let's go fight the real enemy, which is Telos. And as soon as he says that, I don't know if you remember me mentioning that at some point everyone starts feeling these earthquakes, right? And at that point, the earthquake happens, and one of the civilians think, "Oh crap, Telos is coming. Batman's dead. Not dead, so we're all gonna die." And the civilian goes to shoot Batman, and Selena goes in front of Batman to protect him, and she's ended up getting shot. And that's really where you end up. You don't imply that she's dead, but she took a abdomen shot, and then there's basically Selena pleading to Bruce or Kingdom Come Batman, hey, protect the city, and he says, I'll do my best, blah blah blah. Kind of odd way of kind of ending the issue, but I liked it. It was really, Selena, the character, is dead on. I just really kind of breezed through it. There's the whole thing with her saving that scientist that was taken hostage, the whole dialogue between her and Kingdom Come Batman. It was good, but the art too was just fantastic. It was really nice to look at. I'm gonna see if I can get this one splash page of her kicking that leader. Yeah, that's the 2-page splash. It was really a really good book to take a look at. Come on, where's it at? There it is. It's just great art. So, but yeah, that was Catwoman. I thought it was one of the solid tie-in series of the two issue tie-ins. So definitely feel good about getting that one. This one, Mike, if you can hear me, I know you don't. If you got your phrase "late to the party" copyrighted, I will pay your fee, because I am late to the party on this one, and I heard a lot of good things about it. That's why I went back. And issue 2 comes out this week, and if you haven't got this, check it out. Convergence Wonder Woman, very good story. It deals basically what happens with her is she doesn't have her powers, so what she does is she kind of goes to these elderly people and help them out. So she's doing something constructive to society. And this one person that she goes to help with, she has a terminal brain tumor. So she's basically going to die. They can't do any services for her. So there's this cult in the I think it's Metropolis. It's either Metropolis or Gotham. I can't remember which one. Yeah, Gotham. It's in Gotham. There's this cult that believes that this dome is up, and what's going to happen is these angels are going to come and tear down the dome. And this lady who has the brain tumor feels that the only way she can be saved is go to this church, try to talk to the cult, and see if they can do any, I won't say hocus pocus, but kind of influence the angels come and help her out. And during the ceremony, they touch the old lady, and she dies. And Diana, she accuses them of, killing the lady, and the cult people accuse her of being blasphemous, whatnot. So what they have to do is bring her down to the bottom of the building, and she brought this unholy vibe to the church. They got to basically purify her. And remember, we were talking about the whole colonial America tying with rebels.
Mm-hmm.
I just did a presentation on the Salem witch trials, and on my first slide, it was literally a quote from Exodus 22:18. It says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." That is literally quoted right
Wow.
there. I was like, oh, that is just weird. But anyway, what happens? The dome comes down, and she gets her power back, and these things are flying toward the city. So everyone thinks it's the angels coming that save Gotham, but it turns out who it is Red Rain, Joker, Catwoman, and I think it was Poison Ivy, the vampires. You've read Red Rain Batman,
right.
where it becomes a vampire. Yeah, so it's basically Wonder Woman going up against these Joker vampirized Joker. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And the cult people, they get bitten by Joker and crew, so now they end up becoming vampires. I don't know his name. I think it was Stephen Foster, Wonder Woman's boyfriend, whatnot. He ends up getting bit and killed. Her other friend gets bit. So it's basically like a vampire story with Wonder Woman and a cult.
Huh.
It's really dark. And the sad part is, this is where I said Larry Hama, I read The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This was the good. This is written by him. Very interesting take. The art's really dark. It's very, I don't want to say witches-esque, but it just got like a real good horror theme to it. There's the vampire Joker there holding Wonder Woman's friend Edna, I think. And it doesn't take it too far. I mean, you do see some blood, you do see some puncture wounds in the neck, but it doesn't take it too far, but you get the theme. And this was so good. If you come across it, at least just kind of give it a quick skim. I think this is worth it. I think issue 2 comes out next week. If you love horror, this is your thing here. And I don't know, like I don't know much about Wonder Woman. Haven't read too much about it. So I don't know if horror or this type of occult thing is kind of with her themes of stories, but this was good. Definitely recommend this one.
The B cover of that one, and it's the Joker and her. And yeah, I mean, I almost bought it, but I didn't know anything about that Batman, so I just let it go.
Yeah, it's just that world. You have the Red Rain story, so definitely worth it. Let's see. Go through this real quick. Got Batman Arkham Knight, number 4 series. It's great. Talk about when Convergence with the art. Arkham Knight series. The art is phenomenal too. We have 2 artists in here, but I just love this take on Batman. It's really detailed, crisp, great color, great design. And basically here Batman gets a new Batmobile that was destroyed last issue when I think it was the Joker's bomb destroyed Arkham Asylum. So they're going to Germany, get a new Batmobile. It comes back, Tweedledee and Tweedledum hijack the cargo that has the Batmobile, which is all tied into the Penguin's master plan. You can't use Mr. Hammer and Mr. Sickle because Scarecrow can join them like Siamese twins, and they're all kind of out of it with the fear talks, and they had them. Yeah. So yeah, Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and a new creation, Tweedledee. That's his name, Tweedledee. Yeah, it's I'm kind of making light of it, but the Arkham Knight series, it's so good. Maybe it's more good now because there's really no modern Batman right now. I know we just had issue number 40, but it's kind of like my modern Batman fix. And people might have kind of misgivings with it going in with the game, whether it might spoil the game is coming or how's it going to end. I mean, I was thinking about this today. I don't think you're going to get a clear, definitive ending with the series because obviously this is all just a prequel to the game, so I think it's more going to set the stage. But it's Tomasi, Peter J. Tomasi. it's not the Batman and Robin theme, but you know he has a good handle on the Batman universe. He's a good writer. You get that in here. Fantastic art throughout. And this Arkham Knight character, you do see at the very end. The twist in this too is that he's killing all these villains. And right now the police are under belief. Now it took them a couple issues to kind of put 2 and 2 together, but they think Batman's the one killing all these villains around town. So, and Batman just finds out about it. But it's definitely worth the buy if you can afford it and get time to read it. So, definitely cool. I think that's it for my books. And if I can plug one movie, that's all right. I got the Batman Unlimited Animal Instincts movie. I'm only going to bring this up. It wasn't bad, but if you got kids, this is definitely a kids movie. Yeah. It really is. This is like a early afternoon on Cartoon Network type of thing. This is not what we adult people might be thinking. I kind of went into that expectation, like, hey, this is going to be like, Son of Batman or Under the Hood or something.
No.
No. I watched it with my 5-year-old and son and my 7-year-old daughter. They loved it, thank goodness, and they had a good time, so it's all worth it. But if they didn't watch it with me, I've been like, what the heck? But yeah, this is definitely a kids movie. It is what
definitely at a completely different level than the rest of their animation stuff.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, the stuff that I saw, that's kind of what was my opinion too. I was like, oh, this is cute and whatnot, but not the DC animation that I get excited about. That's for sure. Yeah. So, any DC news we want to talk about?
Did you see any of the previews?
Oh, of course.
That Gotham by Midnight.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh yeah. Oh, if you can take a look at it. I know Juan Ferrero, the artist, he did the art for 47 and Eternal. Oh, it's good. It's what I thought. His best characteristics, I think, what he does too, and I know we've seen it at the issues, where he kind of plugs in, like city landscapes and buildings, and when you get the whole theme and environment. Oh, it's good. Definitely good.
Yeah.
That series is in good hands after.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And I saw Batmite. That's gonna be something me and my son read. Wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I'm skipping Batmite. I'm gonna get Bizarro.
Bizarro? Yeah, I saw that today. I was like, not bad. Yeah, Detective. That's the same old stuff, but some of them are good. And I like the kind of, I don't know, these previews they're leaking. I don't know if they're just kind of like standalone. They're not.
They are. They're supposed to be their own content. Those 8 issues are supposed to be their own content. It's not like you're seeing. It's not like you're seeing the first pages of the new books when they come out. This is its own thing. So you're not getting the first pages spelled for you or anything like that. Or when you go to buy the regular comic, you haven't seen the 8 pages for free already and whatnot. So that's
the only one that got me concerned is the Red Hood and the Outlaws. That suit for Red Hood, not good.
Yeah, I'm not getting that. I just don't have good feel. I wanted to get it, but I don't have good feelings about it, so I'm not picking it up.
And I love Red Hood, but that brown vest-looking thing. I don't know if you can call it a vest. It looks kind of bad.
Yeah. Somebody will have to tell me it's great before I be picking it up. So then I'll go back and hunt it down if I need to.
Yeah. Did you see the Legends of Tomorrow trailer?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited because to me it feels like this. I mean, so the Arrow show deals more with the vigilante, less superhero kind of a thing, right? It's just all interpersonal drama and angst, and never ever gets past that. I watch the show, I have fun watching it, but it never gets past their own personal minutia to ever go on to being superheroes. The Flash gets a little closer to that. Still spends a little bit of too much time on their own personal drama versus let's go fight the bad guys. But it's closer to that. It's closer to being a superhero story. Whereas the Legends of Tomorrow, from the previews that I've seen of it, looks like it's just going to be full on superhero. From beginning to end. It's just going to be nonstop them cruising across time or whatever, fighting the bad guys. And to me, that's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun to be able to watch a show that's really going to just be people with superpowers doing superpower things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that looked good. Two things. First off, White Canary bringing what's her name back.
I think that's White Canary is actually a character that does exist in the DC universe. I think they're bringing. Is that Laurel? No, Laurel's the one that's
Sarah, right?
Sarah.
Yeah.
I think they're bringing her back because I just think everybody really liked her.
Yeah.
They're bringing that actress back because everybody just really liked that character.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why she's coming back.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know if I want to say it ruined it, but just the way how Palmer ended up on Arrow, and you get the trailer, kind of gives you some sort of clarity about what happened. Because obviously you watch Arrow in the very end.
Right.
What the heck happened? So.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just kind of curious. Was it Captain Cold? Not Captain Cold. Yeah, was it Captain Cold?
Yeah, Captain Cold and
he's
Heatwave.
The villain, right?
Captain Cold and Heatwave are both Flash Rogues Gallery characters who are going to be on the team.
Yeah. Interesting. It's an interesting concept, so we'll see. I mean, I know you mentioned it before. I just find it really interesting that CW is really embracing this whole concept of superhero shows.
They're very successful shows for CW because CW, being a very small station in the grand scheme of things, them getting a TV show that gets 4.5 million views a week is a very successful TV show for them. Whereas Constantine, which officially got canceled this last week, has 4.7 million viewers a week, and for NBC that is not a successful show, and they get rid of it. That's the difference. Is that for them that level of viewership is a positive thing for them. That's their target audience watches that sort of stuff. Right now CW other real successful shows is Supernatural, and whereas it may not be the exact same show, it has the same sorts of flavors and themes go rolling through it, just like go through these other stuff. So that's clearly within their companies. It's these other stations that are venturing out into it, like CBS and Supergirl. What's that going to be like, in the grand scheme of things? Because those stations are much bigger stations. They have to have a much higher viewership before they are willing to spend their prime time real estate on a show that doesn't get lots of eyes on it. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Of course, there's there's 2 trailers now, pretty decently long trailers for Supergirl, out kind of giving you a feel, I think, of kind of what the show's going to be like, and then one that shows a lot more action, shows her seeing her heat vision and all that kind of great stuff and whatnot too. I don't know. My household's excited by it, so I know I'll be watching Supergirl to start out with and stuff. It feels to me like it's going to hit the right tone of things that that could be out there that could be good about it, or it could just be really hokey. I don't know. Kind of wait and see, but clearly different than the CW shows, though. So.
Yeah. One more thing. So just so I understand somewhat the concept with the Legends of the Future, whatever it's called, I forget. But
Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow, yeah. This is like a time thing, so is it literally like time travel? So literally, it can come to the point where White Canary can see Sarah, can see Laurel, or is it?
Could be.
Could be.
If they wanted to, yeah. I mean, I don't know how they're going to play with the whole time and run into yourself and stuff, but yeah. Because Rip Hunter is on the team, and Rip Hunter is he's basically a time traveler. That's what he does. He's in charge of. Well, it's kind of very Doctor Who-ish. I mean, he's in charge of kind of keeping the timeline from getting too out of control and whatnot. And when things go really wrong that aren't supposed to go wrong, he usually goes there and fixes it. And now, for anybody who doesn't know, that's going to go, oh, they're ripping off Doctor Who. Rip Hunter existed at least, I think, almost 10 years before Doctor Who did. So, as far as being a character, and that's what he did. It is interesting, though, that the guy who's playing Rip Hunter was a companion on the Doctor Who show for the Last Doctor, for the Matt Smith Doctor. He was a companion on that, so that's kind of funny. But now he's playing basically the equivalent of a Time Lord, so that's funny. But we'll see. I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for a superhero show to survive on regular network television.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that S.H.I.E.L.D. survives is because, of course, that's their parent company. That's all Disney. Disney owns the channel. Disney owns the comics. So they can afford to lose money on it because they're also using it as a way to sale pitch their movies, right? I mean, they did that with Thor. You know, you sure they'll do that with all the others too, right?
But I think S.H.I.E.L.D. is finally learning from The Flash.
To start being a real superhero show? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it'll be interesting. Any other DC news we want to talk about?
That's it.
Okay. Let's move on to Marvel. Anybody read any Marvel? I actually read Marvel. I have 4 Marvel books.
4?
4.
Oh,
The issue where we find out who it is.
Yeah, and I actually was not spoiled.
Really? Wow, so you were off the internet the day beforehand, right? Because Marvel literally went on, I mean, it got spoiled anyway, and then Marvel went on and said, oh yeah, this is who it is.
Yeah, no, I had no idea, and all through this, I'm okay with who it is. I don't know if we want to spoil it for everybody, but I mean, Marvel already did, so.
Right.
So yeah, I've not been reading this consistently. I read the first issue, and then I read this, and I'm just gonna end up picking up the rest in trade. But I really do like this series, from what I have read. I like the art a lot. Jason Aaron right now, I'm liking Southern Bastards, and I really like the Thor.
Stacey, when did you read the first issue?
When it came out.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a pretty ginormous leap for me. But I went right into this issue, like not having read the previous 7, and it was fine. And just kind of picked it up because I knew everybody would be talking about it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It'll be interesting to see if she is affected at all by Secret Wars, or like, I know we were talking about this last week, like how are all these books going to be affected? But I think it's an interesting twist, and it makes me like that. I don't like that character normally, or the person who it is. But in the comics, I might. I'm just not a Natalie Portman fan at all. So I hate her in the movies. It's one of the main reasons why I don't love the Thor movies, because I like Kat Dennings a lot more, and I like her character way better than Jane Foster. And yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I liked it, and it was fine. I thought it was cool.
I think I was wondering about with that, Stacey, is do you feel that Aaron changed his writing style on how she communicated from issue 1 to issue 8?
How she communicate? What do you mean? Like how she?
The first couple issues, it felt like there were 2 voices there. There was the Earthbound voice, and there was the Asgardian, because she would say to somebody, you know, "Thou will be smitten," and then she would say to herself, "I can't believe I said that." And
that's right.
That's what I felt like. It stopped about issue 4.
Yeah, it's interesting because maybe that's a creative issue, and it just kind of is illustrating the fact that she is now becoming more comfortable as Thor, and she's kind of accepted that this is who she is now. I really, and now I understand the interactions between her and Thor, because like I was reading this and I was like, they have a lot of chemistry. Well, that explains why. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're happy with it. I think there's going to be a lot of story now with her. We can get past this, that it wasn't all about who she was, so that now that she's revealed, she is already a deep enough character that this storyline will go on very nicely.
Yeah, and I think it was a good thing for me to have not read those middle issues, because I remember I would be on Roundtable with you guys, and you would be like, it's just all about, you know, Thor wants to know who this is, and he's not telling us who this is. And so that was kind of like the hang-up and maybe a gimmick for a little while. if that's what it was. But I mean, even issues 1 and 8, I don't feel like I said like I missed anything. And yeah, I'll probably end up just picking all this whole run, however long it goes, up in trade, just because I think maybe it'll read better in trade for me. But no, overall, I thought it was great, and I just love the art in it, and I really love how she is drawn, because she's just a super strong, awesome character.
The only reason I'm upset with who it is because I felt with the two voice character that we were going to get two people. I thought it was going to be from Secret Defenders.
Valkyrie and was it Annabelle? No, what was her name?
Yes.
Valkyrie and whoever it was that she's attached to. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I really felt like that was going to be the thing, that the storyline would be the two can never be together, because there is a human aspect and a god aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, because now with Thor, the storyline is about why is he unworthy, and I think that it ties into that. I think Thor is unworthy because he is Thor and he is Donald Blake, and I think Donald Blake is somewhere, in a non-existence because of Thor. And if he won't give up who he is, Donald Blake can't exist. And I think it would have carried along with the new Thor. And I guess that's my only problem. That's why I was really hoping on it being this other storyline.
Yeah, that would make sense. I actually wanted it to be his mom, because I really like Freya. I just think she's a really interesting character. But yeah, that is an interesting point. I can see why you would think that. But yeah, but you liked it regardless?
Yes, because I think she is a strong character, that this is an awesome storyline, and how it's affecting her. And they talk about that at the end, and I think that's just going to be amazing going on. And I agree with you 100%. The art is still awesome, the writing is still strong. This is going to be a great story.
Yeah, I'm excited now, because before, I was like, oh, I really like the first issue. I was like, oh, this is cool. But clearly it didn't make me want to pick up any more. This does now.
The only worry else I do have, and someone else covered it on our website, that she's also in the new Avengers, or the new Avengers, whatever it is. It just, I worry that that's going to wear down the character, that she's not going to have a solid voice, or that they just put her there and then they go back to Odin's for this.
Right, but going on through Secret Wars, it's Thor's.
Yes.
Right? The storyline basically is that they're the galactic cops laying down the hammers on everybody to try and keep things in line, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Christina, you read Thor, right?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it. I think, I don't know, for me, it was my first time reading any Thor, and I know very little of Thor, so although the ending didn't surprise me, it was really good. I managed not to be spoiled by the internet for some reason, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It's kind of disappointing that it's only 8 issues, because there is room for more, and I want there to be more, but it was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, hopefully coming out the other end, some of these books are going to come back, because there's quite a few books that they're pulling the plug on that are going to end so they can do the Secret Wars stuff. So I don't know. It's frustrating, because I have a few books that they've done that with too, I think. So now the person that's Thor currently. Were you reading Jason Aaron's run at the beginning of this, Mike, before she took over being Thor?
I was grabbing it in trades.
Okay, so she's suffering from cancer, right? Didn't they have this really pretty tear-jerking kind of a story about the fact that she's dying and does not want Thor to do anything for her, basically?
Yeah,
just let her.
That was kind of the last issue, that she doesn't want magical. She is only taking natural science. And I don't normally go so deep in my comics, but this does bother me, that it was breast cancer, and if it's about the hammer, the magical ability is killing her, I kind of feel that that's taking away from an amazing battle that a woman has to go through with breast cancer.
Right. So that's what I was going to ask. Does it cheapen that story back then? This whole really, and of course I was an idiot. I quit getting the comic right before that came out, so I didn't get to read it for myself. But from everything I read from everybody, it was this really, really great emotional story that was written. Does it take away from that now she's Thor? So clearly, I'm assuming if she's Thor, she's not still a ticking time bomb of death, right?
It's troublesome. Is in the end, the very last page says, "This is what's killing me," and it makes me wonder: does she not have breast cancer, or how does that work? You know, that she had it, she was going into remission, and now this is killing her.
So
I would like to point out there is a breast cancer ad in this.
Oh.
Well, okay, so you're saying at the end of this issue, basically, she throws out, "This is killing me," but it leaves it vague as to we don't know.
Yeah, it's the very last thing. She becomes Jane Foster.
Do you want us to show you the panel?
Please, it's not like everybody doesn't know.
Yep.
You see it? So she looks super weak.
Oh yeah, like somebody who's at stage 4.
Yeah.
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 But clearly, she's not like that when she calls the hammer.
No. So long as, and that's probably why she hasn't wanted to convert back, is, you know, at the end, I'm Jane Foster, I will not stop being the mighty Thor, even though it's killing me.
And it shows her, you know, kind of untransforming in this panel as well.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So is that everybody's interpretation then? So Mike thinks that he's wondering if they're implying that the hammer's what's doing her in. What do you guys think? I'm really curious about this now. I'm deeply fascinated by it.
I think it's a combination of the two. This is what I think. I think she might have, if she had, because I didn't know about the breast cancer thing. If she had breast cancer, then maybe becoming Thor prolonged, you know, the ultimate. Right. And now it's just a combination of the two. The fact that, you know, the hammer gives her the ability to become Thor, but then when she's not Thor, she's even weaker than she was before. So it might be a combination of the two things, like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And this is just her way of prolonging living.
And we're not going to get any more of this, right? This is done. The next Thor book that comes out is Thor's.
Yeah.
Which you would assume where you're not going to get a lot of personal on her because you're talking about 5 or 6 Thors in a book at one time, so you never really have time to get into the nitty gritty of this.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate way to end the book, I think, because we've spent 7 issues teasing who's Thor, right? Which is I'm sure was a fun thing to get, but then to get hit with this at the end of it, and then that's kind of like how this book ends. It's like you kind of go. What? You don't end a book that way and then say, sorry, we've got 6 months worth of events to play with.
It sounds like Marvel's doing that a lot because they did that with the Ant-Man too.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like every book that you love is just going to end in a really crappy way.
A cliffhanger of some sort. And leave you not knowing whether or not your book's coming back out the other side.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great.
Travis, for you also to know, she did this all in seclusion. She goes to Asgard and is hidden when she transforms back.
And so Thor still doesn't know who it is.
Yeah.
She's about.
Son still doesn't know who Thor is.
No,
so nobody does.
She's about to tell her, or she's about to tell him. I think it's hinted at like she's going to tell him, and then of course somebody like interrupts them, and then it just goes away.
Okay.
So it was.
So it's a mystery to everyone else, just us, the audience, know, and all of the internet.
Yeah.
So, so what do you all think of that? Marvel basically, because it clearly was getting spoiled anyway, them just announcing it and start talking about it, doing interviews the day before Comic Book Wednesday.
Stacey's mentioned tons of times. This seems to be what Marvel does, especially in their movies and now in their comics, you know. Put it on TV, here's the new Captain America, here's the Thor, here's every big change that we're doing, so please come look at her item instead of letting word of mouth do it.
I used to think solicitations alone sucked, but this goes beyond, you know, reading a solicitation and having something wrecked in a solicitation. This goes well beyond that. You know, I mean, part of the thing that would be fun would be the excitement of suddenly finding that out. I mean, it was bad enough they said, we're not going to tell you who it is until issue 8 or whatever. I mean, I thought that was horrible. You know, so then you could read knowing you're not going to, they can tease it all they want to, but you know you're not going to get told until...
It's almost like they did that for the non-comic readers and just the people who are fans of Marvel and just wanted to know. And it's like, if you're...
They did it for me, huh? I don't read it, but I want to know. They did it for me.
And I mean, like, if you're going to do that, that's totally fine. But you should have a designated, like, Marvel board if you're going to do that. So, because, I mean, and then it's like, in some cases, I think they shot themselves in the foot, because if you're doing that a day before Comic Book Wednesday, and then you're spoiling people, and they're like, I don't have to pick up the book now.
Right. Well, I mean, that's just it. I might have, to be part of the zeitgeist of everybody finding out who it was, I might have gone to the chain store and gotten it. But when the day before I'm told, okay,
yeah.
I mean, I have some questions, you know, that got answered, you know, about the whole cancer thing, because that's the part that makes me most curious. But wow, okay.
And that's why I'm surprised. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the ending of the season, gave me more surprises and more shocks than I have gotten out of a comic book in probably the last year and a half.
That's a shame.
Yeah. It
The
is.
TV show that we dog a lot is giving you the better. Shame. Okay, so what other Marvel books do we want to talk about? Let's talk about Angela. Angela, Asgard Assassin. Did you get this read, Christina?
Yeah.
What you think?
I really hope there's more at the end of Secret Wars, because I do not want it to end the way it did. The whole part with Sarah wasn't like a surprise to me, but the ending really got to me. Like, I'm not mad, but I will be if there's no more at the end of Secret Wars.
Yeah. I have to admit, I got to the end of it and I'm like, oh, that's bullshit. So it ends literally like the rest of these are. It ends on a cliffhanger. We find out that a character who I think a lot of us, at least the people that I chat with on Twitter, we all liked a whole bunch, isn't even really the character. There was a doppelganger the entire time. So you get that bombshell dropped on you, and then it just all feels really screwed at the end of it. And you know, you find out that character is basically in hell, and part of I didn't enjoy this issue as much either. It felt like they quickly rushed and finished it up. You know, it was this long ordeal to get where they were at, to do this quest, to end this answer of this thing, and then, okay, we're done now. Almost. A little too much. Which I thought that was kind of frustrating too. But yeah, the way this ends, if it ends and there's not a story after this, it's going to be really aggravating. I mean, I know that Angela's getting a Secret Wars book, the 1602, Witch Hunter book, which is not going to be the same because it's clearly a different timeline I mean, it's the same character, but I think it's a different character at the same time because it's set in the past that she's a witch hunter as opposed to what she is in this book. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, it was ridiculous the way it ended. It was a definite come on. So clearly this is what happens. If the book didn't choose to do a end of days storyline, it just abruptly ends. I mean, clearly this is the end of an arc, and it leaves it open to something else. But yeah, the art in it is really cool. I really love visually the way this book looks and whatnot. I mean, I'm surprised by that. I have really had no interest in Angela going into this. Just kind of picked it up on a whim because other people were talking about it. Visually, it's gorgeous. The covers are gorgeous. The interiors are gorgeous. Yeah, I don't know. And like I said, I talked with Phil Jimenez, the guy who's the main artist for the bulk of the book, and he could not tell me what was going to happen with this book after Secret Wars. I pressed him, and he said, I do not know. Because I was like, and I think he thought I was trying to get out of him what was going to go on for Secret Wars, because he kept saying, I'm not working on the Secret Wars stuff. And I'm like, I don't care about Secret Wars. Does the book exist after Secret Wars? And he just went, well, I haven't been asked to work on it yet, so I don't know what that means, you know. But Secret Wars, right, doesn't end until September, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So we've got 4 or 5 months of, I don't know. That was a brutal.
So
they're basically chained up, going, "I'm going to hell." I mean, okay.
So with Secret Wars, is it literally going to be at some point just straight tie-ins, kind of like DC's doing, or is there still main regular titles still going concurrently with the Secret Wars event?
I believe all titles inevitably will be gone, and everything will be a Secret Wars connection.
Oh.
And they said it was like structured a certain way that if it said, battle was about, people fighting people, like the Versus books, and if it was End of Days, it's
this is the last
finishing of the storyline.
This is the last days of Magneto, is what this is. So this is issue 18. I don't know if anybody else reads Magneto.
I do.
Yeah. Did you get this one read?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a radical jump, huh? We went from all this kind of heavy, real personal, dealing with the rebuilding of the island and potentially Magneto going back to being, in charge of a bunch of mutants to, suddenly there's two universes clashing into each other, they're going to be ripped apart, and Magneto's doing a latch-ditch effort to harness all of his magnetic powers to obliterate the other universe. He's going to obliterate the other world.
I liked the part at the beginning with his daughter. That was interesting. But other than that, it was okay. Not my favorite Magneto issue.
No, whereas I didn't think the other tie-ins that have happened in the past disrupted the book horribly. They kind of made sense to him.
Didn't.
This one was just kind of radically out of, because he's doing stuff that he hasn't been able to do. I mean, he's suddenly back to being, unless he took a lot of the mutant enhancements, he's he's back to doing, full-scale stuff that he never could do. I mean, the thing about this book is he always has been he didn't have that kind of power. Now suddenly he's harnessing all of Earth's magnetic power, and then he's going to siphon off the other Earth's magnetic powers and use it to go the flashback and fracture them. And that's way outside of what he's been able to do for quite some time. But yeah, the little bit with which daughter was it? I didn't realize that was actually even his daughter until I read this issue.
I think it was Polaris.
Yeah.
Polaris, yeah.
Clearly, this is my not up-to-date Marvel knowledge shining through, and yeah, I didn't realize that was a daughter. Because these other kids aren't his kids anymore. So I thought the little bits and pieces with Submariner in here were kind of funny. The backstory there of the first time him meeting Magneto, not meeting Submariner, and then at some point in the past, right after he builds this island, Submariner comes to him and kind of gives him the whole look. Here's the Illuminati. We've known about this secret thing going to happen. So the Illuminati, the secret group amongst the superheroes in the Marvel Universe, knew this was going to happen. This Secret Wars thing, they knew it was going to happen. They've known it was going to happen for a long time. They couldn't fix it, so now they're hoping Magneto can. It's kind of what the pitch of this issue was. So it says to be continued. I don't know how many more issues there are of Magneto, how many days they'll stretch out his book. I'll keep getting them because I've gotten them from the beginning, but I don't know how excited I am. The Secret Wars tie-in it really feels like an event tie-in as opposed to its own book that just happens to have that going on in it, which is unfortunate.
I thought each End of Days was going to be allowed 4 issues. But
that many?
Wrong.
Okay.
Thought, because that way it allowed them to wrap up an arc or finish a story or whatever.
Okay.
During that buffer time zone.
Yeah, because they're not all starting their Ends of Days at the same time, because, of course, I read Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
And this ended the arc for this, and next issue starts the End of Days for it. But it seemed to me like when I read the letters page for this, I don't know. I got the impression that maybe it wasn't more than an issue, but maybe it is. Yeah. Am I the only one here reading Ms. Marvel?
I don't have it.
Okay.
But I do read it.
It was okay. It was okay. It ended this arc. I haven't been excited by this whole kind of you know, oh, she has a crush and now the crush crushes her kind of a thing. Yeah. That's all I really want to say about it. I mean, I love the character. I love the setting. I like her kind of how she deals with stuff and her dialogue, both internal and external. I liked a lot. But this whole first love crush ends up being a douchebag. I don't know. I felt like I was watching an 80s movie or TV show, that whole era of, you know, girl gets first love, gets crushed by first love kind of thing. So it was okay. I am kind of looking forward to, this is one of the books I am looking forward to the end days, because I'm curious to see how Camilla deals with the idea of her neighborhood, her friends, her loved ones. They're going to be gone, because it's the end days. I mean, literally two universes, of course, are crashing into each other. And unless somebody does something heroic, right, somebody dies. Somebody's universe is going down. So I'll be curious to see how that's written, because I'm curious to see how this young person deals with that, because I don't think she has superpowers that are going to allow her to, you know, stop two universes from colliding. So what's she going to do? I'll be curious to see what that story is. So
the Ultimate Marvel Universe, Miles Morales, they did a pretty good job on that, 'cause New York got nearly wiped out a couple times, and his father, of course, is anti-superheroes in general, so that's another good telling of that kind of a storyline.
Cool. Well, I'm hoping they do that here. Any other Marvel books? Anybody got any others? I have Uncanny Avengers. This is issue 4, one more issue, and this story is done. And I don't know if it's coming back after Secret Wars, but I believe it's done after the next issue, which stinks. You know, you get 5 issues, and then they have an event, and the event shuts the book down. So in this, we get a further description of who Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver's parents are. Because of course they're not Magneto's. We've been told at the beginning of this that Magneto's not their father, and they get told that they're not Inhumans either. They are, but the guy that's on Counter Earth, what is he called? He's called. Every time I talk about this book, I can't remember what the heck his name is. Oh, heck. The purple guy, what is his name?
Thanos?
No, not Thanos.
Kilgrave?
High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary, you know, they kind of like, you know, because he talks about how he created them, and they're like, so your father? And he's like, ugh, does a chair call the carpenter father? They're basically just things he created. He scooped them up off of Earth. He did experiments on them. It didn't turn out exactly the way he wanted it to, but he was kind of curious, so he throws them back down to Earth, and then they get rescued by Magneto, when they're about ready to get burnt to the stake as witches, part of the thing. So they're still kind of left unsatisfied with not having the father figure that they need to have. This issue is pretty cool because the heroes are finally starting to get gathered together because they've been scattered all across Counter Earth. The Vision has basically bonded with this other android woman. I mean, like, she knows his soul inside and out. I mean, she knows everything about him. I mean, because when they got together, they completely got together. I mean, it's complete sharing of their entire existence. Well, they have this entire room full of children, of little embryonic android babies in test tubes that Mom has decided that she is going to save. And the Vision can either go and save his friends, who pretty much aren't really grateful. I mean, he's saved them thousands of times over. He doesn't owe them anything anymore. So why does he still bother to try and help them? He can go and do that, you know, probably die at the hands of the High Evolutionary, or he can sneak off with her and try and save their children. Is the dilemma he's being left with, which I think is interesting. It's interesting to see that aspect go on, and him kind of trying to decide, you know, torn between this potential new life with somebody who completely understands him. There's no mystery. They completely supposedly understand each other, that's interesting. And and then we have Sabretooth, who's finally kind of come to his senses again. I mean, he's still the killer. You know, he's still got this whole doesn't want to kill, but he has this kind of interesting interior dialogue where he kind of compares himself to Wolverine and how Wolverine, you know, supposedly turns on the beast to do the dirty work that nobody else wants to do, and then he can turn it off. But the reality is he really can't turn it off, and it doesn't matter how you justify it, your hands are still permanently stained with this blood, kind of thing. So there's some more of that. I think that's really interesting. You know, to see Sabretooth still kind of trying to deal with that, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and the art, Daniel Acuna, or how you actually say his name, I don't know how to say it. I'm sure I'm butchering it. His art in this book is just awesome. I continue to really enjoy his art. Is really good. It's got interesting tones, good colors to it. Yeah, there's Sabretooth getting aged. The High Evolutionary's true daughter can change the molecular structure of about anything. So she literally ages Sabretooth, literally degrades his genes to make him an old man, which is pretty brutal. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. I didn't like the first. Run of Uncanny Avengers, but I'm really liking this one. I'm looking forward to Captain America's about ready to come back into the story. He ended up in a place where he actually gets absorbed into the earth, and he's kind of like a earth plant muckman that the High Evolutionary uses to cleanse counter Earth every time he has a war. He just kills everything, and then these plant creatures go along and reabsorb all the organics, and then they harvest those organics and then recreate the next thing they're going to do for life. But Captain America kind of has a little bit of control over that, so it'll be curious to see how that ends up going awry in it. But no, I'm liking it, but it'll be done, and it's another book. I don't know what happens to it. I'm going to continue to complain about that. Can you tell?
I mean, I could see that be kind of frustrating for I know, like you do it, for people who order in advance.
Yeah.
You know, what the budget, right?
Well,
frustrated.
Well, in some ways it makes it easy. I can look. You know, I'm looking 3 months in advance, and I see it doesn't exist. So I guess I'm saving some money because I don't see anything that reason I should be picking up something else, and I wouldn't even begin to know what the Secret Wars version of some of these books are. I mean, unless it's clearly stated. Which I know some people are saying, oh, it's easy, just follow this list. But if you're following these kind of the fringe books, which I feel like that's what I'm reading, there isn't a clear this is what it is, except for the ones that have said these are going to be ends of days, and there hasn't been anything that says what's going on with Uncanny. I just think it's ending. Those heroes will all get absorbed into these other hero books, and they'll have their thing. And I'll take a break from reading a lot of Marvel stuff, I guess, just like I did with the DC event thing, and my wallet will be happy for a while, and then come out the other end of it. I'll see what books start up, and I'll pick and choose out of that, and maybe I'll go back and pick up the Secret Wars thing and trade if it ultimately sounds like it was something cool at the end of it. But yeah. Any other Marvel books you want to talk about? Marvel news?
Agent Carter is coming back and going to Los Angeles.
Cool. I hear Agent Carter's the good one to watch, huh?
Yes. So, I mean, they're making some good decisions on that.
Yeah, I missed out on watching that. Big mistake, I think, because it sounded like it was pretty cool. So I'll have to give it a watch when it reaches some place where I can binge watch it or something, I guess. Yeah, I haven't really heard any other news coming out of Marvel per se. And of course, nobody on is reading Secret Wars, so we don't know what's going on with that. Because that came out again this week, right? Number 2. Yeah. Is it still flying off the shelves or not flying off the shelves?
Oh my god, yeah, we sold out of it so fast.
Yeah.
We just have all the variants left, I think, and not even that many. But yeah, no, it's fine.
Well, I've been hearing people really like it. I mean, if you're in on it, it's cool. I need to find some videos and watch the people who haven't been reading lots of Marvel but are picking up this event to see what they have to say about it.
Yeah, all the people who I talk to when they pick it up, they seem to really, really enjoy it. So
Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Like I said, for me, I'm more excited to see what happens when it's all done, said and done. What does the universe look like, and what kind of things might they give us? I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, any other? Well, let me check my comments really quick. Any other thing we want to talk about? Any other comic book stuff that just?
I know next week should be a pretty good week for indies. Now we were talking about Fade Out coming out, Witches. I think that's next week.
I think Stray Bullets as well.
The 20th.
Yeah.
What's that?
Stray Bullets. Yeah. I don't know that I'm excited about Witches.
Heresy.
I know. I'm so bugged by the coloring on that book.
The kaleidoscope effect.
It would be okay if it was that. If it was just a kaleidoscope. It's the more like my nose is dripping all over the comic book effect.
You're the only person I know who was bothered by that. Everybody
really?
else, yeah, I have not heard anybody, and it doesn't bother me, even though I had your voice in the back of my head as I was reading it, and I was like, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh yeah, there's like some stuff, but the writing and like the story just pulled me like totally out of it. So like that didn't even annoy me.
I guess I just want stuff in my comic books to make sense.
Yeah.
Why is it there? And that's my problem. If it had some sort of a rationale as to why it was there, you wouldn't hear me complain about it. But storytelling, it's supposed to be an element. Color, like everything else, and especially when they're doing that, it's supposed to be some sort of an element. And I don't, other than maybe that is the equivalent, those splotches of color all over the place that make no sense. Maybe it's the equivalent of running pigs squealing and bees buzzing in the back of a soundtrack to a horror movie just to agitate the shit out of me. If that's the purpose of it, I guess it's successful.
The artist literally was like, how can I make Travis angry right now?
How can I F with that dude?
And it does feel, it's like he found something new, and it's like, irregardless if it fits or not, put more into it, keep doing it, and then even more so.
Right, that's my problem. It's like, ooh, look, I've got a new toy. I can just throw paint around. Let's do that. All right. And that's what it feels to me like. It doesn't feel like it has a, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it has a rationale to me.
Yeah, I don't want to steal too much of a conversation for next time. But yeah, I mean, I think it was, what was that, the issue 3, it was real noticeable. And I thought it kind of tapered down a little bit. So, I mean, I see what you're saying. But I don't want to steal the conversation. I'm just excited.
Yeah,
really
you're right. That Witches is coming out. 8, for those of us who've been enjoying 8. 8 comes out. Well, there are kind of cool things coming out next week. Of course, we still roll more of the Convergence stuff. Yeah, it should be a pretty decent week, I think. It's gonna be a much smaller week for me than this week was. So.
Anything shorter than what, 23? What you have?
23 or 25, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a lot. And and Fade Out comes out, so you better get your Fade Outs all read so you can be caught up on that. Trees starts back up again. I'm super excited about that. That's probably the #1 comic book for me to read next week. Yeah. So cool stuff. Well, so I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Christina, for showing up. I won't hassle you all the time about coming back, maybe, but I will. I will. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, I guess anybody got any parting words, any great words of wisdom that they want to leave with as I shut it down tonight?
If you're having trouble with your computer, turn it off, turn it back on again, and a sandwich.
Just to help, and bring me a sandwich, yeah.
Bring a sandwich.
Yeah. Okay. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for watching.